After the age of 65, life begins to unfold in a way that few people truly prepare for. Many fear this time, believing it to be a chapter of decline, of fading usefulness. But in truth, these years can be the most valuable of your life. There are traits that, when nurtured, make a person not only indispensable to their loved ones, but also quietly more precious than gold to their community, their family, and even to themselves. I have spent over 30 years speaking with patients, holding their hands in moments of joy and in grief, and I can tell you with certainty, there is a deep power in aging well. Not perfectly, but well. Let me begin with something science now shows with clarity. The brain, contrary to what was long believed, does not necessarily deteriorate rapidly after 60. A study published by the University of California in Los Angeles found that certain types of intelligence, such as crystallized intelligence, actually increase as we age. This is the accumulated wisdom and understanding we gain over a lifetime. It is a storehouse of knowledge, patience, and perspective. And yet, few recognize how rare this trait truly is. The first trait that makes you more valuable than gold after 65 is the ability to listen deeply. Not just hear, but listen. In our noisy world, people are desperate to be heard, to be seen. If you have learned to listen, not with judgment, but with presence, you become a source of immense comfort. This kind of listening can lower stress hormones in others. In fact, studies by the University of Nevada show that deep, active listening enhances emotional regulation in relationships. It strengthens bonds. Imagine the value of that when families are frayed, when generations no longer speak the same language emotionally. If you can listen, you become the bridge that no one knew they needed until they found themselves standing safely on it. The second rare trait is measured optimism. This is not naive hope. It is not blind cheerfulness. It is the kind of optimism that has seen storms and still believes in spring. This kind of attitude has been shown in numerous studies to extend life and improve its quality. Harvard University researchers discovered that people over 65 who maintain a sense of hopefulness about the future are more likely to engage in health-promoting behaviors. They walk more. They eat better. They socialize more. This kind of optimism is built over decades of falling down and getting back up. When others are overwhelmed by change or fear, the one who can say quietly, "This too shall pass," becomes the most stabilizing force in the room. That kind of strength is not just comforting, it is healing. The third trait is humility paired with purpose. Many people assume that with age comes entitlement to respect, but true respect is not demanded, it is earned. And those who remain curious, who continue to ask questions and stay open to learning, are often the ones who earn it most deeply. Humility in aging does not mean shrinking, it means expanding. It means knowing that even at 70, even at 80, you can grow. The National Institute on Aging has found that older adults who engage in new learning, even something as simple as gardening or a new language, maintain sharper cognitive function and experience lower levels of depression. But it is humility that opens the door to that growth. And when it is combined with a deep sense of purpose, something incredible happens. You become someone younger people turn to, not just for stories of the past, but for guidance in shaping the future. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It might be nurturing a grandchild, volunteering once a week, or simply calling someone who is lonely. The act of giving, backed by humility and intention, becomes priceless. The fourth rare trait is emotional steadiness. You would be amazed how few people in any generation possess it. But those over 65 who have done the inner work to remain calm under pressure are lifelines to those around them. It is not that they do not feel stress, it is that they have learned how to hold it differently. The University of Michigan conducted a longitudinal study that found older adults, particularly those over 70, tend to experience fewer negative emotions and recover from stress faster than younger people. This is not accidental. It is the result of decades of adaptation. Emotional steadiness is quiet, often invisible, but it can change a room. It helps others breathe more deeply. It lowers cortisol in families during moments of tension. It prevents arguments from spiraling. This kind of trait does not sparkle like gold. It hums like a tuning fork in the middle of chaos. When you possess it, you may not even realize the peace you bring until someone turns to you and says, I feel better just being near you. The fifth trait is generosity of spirit without expectation. This is one of the rarest. Many give to feel needed. Others give and expect something in return, even if it is just appreciation. But the kind of generosity I have seen in some elders is different. It is rooted in abundance, in knowing that what you give from the heart returns in ways you cannot predict or measure. A 2020 study published in the journal Psychological Science revealed that older adults who engaged in altruistic behaviors, such as volunteering or mentoring, showed not only improved emotional well-being, but also increased physical health markers like lower inflammation and better heart rate variability. But the science can only go so far in explaining the quiet joy that a generous heart brings. I remember one 80-year-old man, a retired teacher, who made it his daily mission to write letters to people he admired. He expected nothing back, and yet the joy he felt, the lightness in his spirit, made him feel younger than many people half his age. Giving is not just about others. It is also a powerful medicine for the giver. And the sixth and final rare trait that makes a person more valuable than gold after 65 is presence. I do not mean physical presence alone. I mean full presence, the kind that makes others feel like they are the only person in the room. In a world addicted to distraction, to speed, to screens, the ability to be fully present with another person is perhaps the most precious currency we have left. Presence says, "You matter." It heals without words. The University of Wisconsin conducted a series of studies showing that people who practiced mindful presence regularly had stronger immune systems and were more emotionally resilient, even in the face of loss. I have seen men and women in their 70s sit beside a grieving friend and say nothing, simply offer a hand, and do more good in 5 silent minutes than an hour of platitudes could ever do. This kind of presence is cultivated over time. It often comes after many years of realizing that most of life cannot be fixed, only held. To hold someone else's sorrow or joy or silence and not rush to fill it is a gift that turns an ordinary elder into a quiet pillar of strength. So if you are over 65 or approaching it, hear this truth plainly. You are not less valuable than you once were. You are not obsolete. You are not fading. You are ripening. And these traits, deep listening, measured optimism, humble purpose, emotional steadiness, generous spirit, and mindful presence. These are the gold that cannot be mined. They cannot be bought. They can only be lived into, and they are desperately needed. You may not always feel it. Our culture does not often celebrate age unless it looks young, but within you is something that time has shaped, that hardship has tempered, that love has refined. You are the keeper of stories, the reminder of grace, the calm at the center of many storms. Do not believe the lie that your worth diminishes with each birthday. If anything, you grow more potent, more rare, and when you choose to nurture these traits, when you polish them like stones you keep in your pocket, you become something beyond useful. You become irreplaceable. Let others chase noise and novelty. Let them be dazzled by speed and spectacle. You, if you cultivate what truly matters, will be the one people return to when they need truth, when they need hope, when they need to be reminded of what endures. That is no small role. That is not retirement. That is revelation. So take care of your body, yes. Walk, eat well, stay hydrated, but also care for your heart. Nurture your ability to listen without rushing. Let your optimism be the kind that has walked through shadows and still trusts the light. Keep learning. Stay humble. Practice stillness. Give freely. And above all, be present. Not only will you be more precious than gold to others, you will become a deep well of peace for yourself. And that after 65 may be the most valuable gift of all. Have you been underestimating your own value after 65? Let me ask you something quietly but directly. Have you been underestimating your own value after the age of 65? I ask not to challenge you, but to help you pause and reflect. Because I have sat across from thousands of people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. And the most common thing I witness is not decline. It's disbelief. Disbelief in their own worth. Somewhere along the way, our culture planted this idea that your value is tied to productivity, to youth, to speed. And when that fades, you're supposed to step aside. But I can tell you this with complete confidence, both as a doctor and as a human being who has listened carefully. That idea is wrong, deeply wrong. In fact, science is proving what many elders have quietly known all along. Aging is not just a slow fading, it is a profound unfolding. Let's start with your brain. You might think your memory isn't as sharp as it used to be, and yes, you may not recall names as quickly as before, but what you've gained is far more valuable. Neuroscience now shows that while certain quick recall functions may slow down with age, other brain functions actually improve. A study from Harvard Medical School and Massachusetts General Hospital showed that older adults use both hemispheres of the brain more evenly than younger people. This bilateral activity is believed to increase problem-solving ability and emotional regulation. In plain language, your brain becomes more balanced. You think more deeply. You are less reactive. That kind of mental strength is rare and deeply needed in today's fast, distracted world. Now let's talk about emotional intelligence. Over decades, you've had more practice managing relationships, facing loss, navigating disappointment, and holding space for joy. That kind of experience doesn't vanish. It crystallizes. Research published in the journal Psychological Science confirms that emotional intelligence and social reasoning improve with age. Older adults are better at seeing different points of view. They're more compassionate and more skilled at resolving conflicts. When families fall into tension, it's usually the elder who knows how to bring people back together. When younger people feel overwhelmed, they often turn to someone older, not for answers, but for the feeling of safety that only experience can offer. But here's where many people start to undervalue themselves. They forget that their stories matter, that their perspective carries weight. I have seen men and women who have raised families, built careers, survived wars, illnesses, losses, and still question whether they have anything left to give. That's the quiet heartbreak I see most. But what I've also seen is that when people are reminded of their worth, when they are given a reason to share, to contribute, something lights up in them. A woman in her 70s once told me she felt invisible until her granddaughter asked her how she used to braid her own mother's hair. That one question opened a floodgate. For the first time in years, she felt necessary. And you are necessary. You are still teaching people how to love, how to cope, how to endure. That does not stop at 65. It does not stop at 80. Your presence, your patience, your lived wisdom, all of that is medicine to those around you. Especially in a time when everyone seems to be moving too fast, your ability to slow down, to truly see and hear others, is a gift beyond measure. There is a study that might surprise you. The Rush Memory and Aging Project, conducted over many years with thousands of older adults, found that those who felt a strong sense of purpose in their later years were not only happier, but also lived longer and showed slower rates of cognitive decline. Think about that. Purpose doesn't just feel good, it literally helps your brain stay healthier. And purpose is not some lofty mission. It might be checking on a neighbor every morning. It might be teaching your grandchild how to sew, how to plant a garden, how to forgive. These are small acts with great power, and you are capable of them now more than ever. There's also something called generativity. This term was coined by psychologist Erik Erikson. It describes the deep desire in later life to contribute to the next generation. And it turns out this isn't just a psychological phase, it's a biological drive. Studies show that older adults who engage in generative acts like volunteering, mentoring, storytelling, or caring for others experience greater life satisfaction and lower rates of depression. You don't need to be a therapist or a teacher by profession. If you share a memory, if you offer a quiet word of encouragement, if you model grace in the face of aging, you are doing this work. You are shaping others. You are living proof that dignity does not end with age. It deepens. So if you are sitting there wondering what your role is now, I want you to know this. Your value is not in what you used to do. It's in who you are. You are not a chapter that has ended. You are a living library. You carry with you lessons about patience that only come from wading through winters. You hold in your body and soul the memory of laughter that came after sorrow. And people need that, more than they know. Have you been underestimating yourself? Have you looked in the mirror and only seen what has changed instead of what has grown? That wrinkle near your eyes might be the mark of thousands of smiles you gave to someone else. Those hands that feel a little stiffer now may have held generations. That slower walk might be carrying a deeper wisdom. You are not less. You are more. And if the world around you sometimes forgets to remind you of this, let this moment remind you now. You are still here for a reason. Your life is still unfolding. You still matter, deeply, quietly, powerfully. So no, do not underestimate yourself anymore. Do not measure your value by what the world glamorizes. Measure it by the love you offer, by the steadiness you bring, by the lives you continue to touch, sometimes without even knowing it. You are not fading, you are ripening. And that kind of value cannot be measured in numbers or titles. It can only be felt, it can only be lived.